Please give a warm ConnectiCon welcome to Diedrich Bader. I feel like I'm on a talk show. This is nice.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. We're gonna open the floor right there.
Hi.
Hi.
Joe Cirillo, GameAccess.net. How did you find the voice for Batman? Like, what got you to do that particular voice? How did you
Well,
find
I
it?
think Kevin kind of nailed it, and so I was doing a really poor impression of Kevin. That's pretty much what I was doing. But also, I tried to toss in some of the inflections of Adam with a little Shatner in there too. I mean, my whole thing about Batman was that he was kind of a setup man for the other jokes, you know, because like Aquaman and that kind of thing. He was there for irony. Yeah, I mean, the voice has to be masculine and strong, and I mean, it was interesting to me because I've been comedic relief for so long in my career to be the lead, because there's only so funny you're allowed to be. Otherwise, the show kind of falls apart. The narrative has to move forward. Someone has to believe what you're doing. And with the outrageous characters that I was paired with, you know, I needed to be the straight guy. It was a very interesting process.
Back to the Future.
Bill Sense here from Pastor's Corner. Nice to meet you. Actually, I was just wondering, you've done some amazing work with Mike Judge, both voice work on things like King of the Hill, Good Family, and then also, you know, Office Space and live action too. How did you first meet him, and like, you know, how did that process begin? That you began that relationship with him?
Well, I did an audition for Office Space, and I went in right after Owen Wilson. And I remember him walking out, and I was like, oh, that's the guy from Bottle Rocket. Then I walked in, and I started doing it, and I hadn't really nailed what I was going to do with the character yet. When I was rehearsing him outside of the building, because you know you don't get much time with sides in Hollywood. That's one thing that people don't really get, is that the development process in a television show can take 9 months, a movie can take 5 years to be greenlit, but the actor is given between an hour and 2 hours to come up with a character. So I was doing Lawrence as kind of like this stoner hippie dude before I walked in and saw Owen Wilson walk out of the door. So I was like, oh, I was doing Owen Wilson. I'm gonna come up with another character by the time I walk in. So Lawrence was this guy who repaired our air conditioner in Virginia. And I just like had this flash of this guy, and also of the Allman Brothers and Sisters album. On the inside, when you open it up and they're all standing around that porch. I was like, I want a guy that would belong there. Anyway, he laughed through the whole audition, like giggling and laughing, and there was a part of me that was really happy, and there was another part that was like, shh, because now this is over my audition. Yeah, I actually based the whole character, like, besides that one moment on this. You said, what are you doing down, you know, now I'm doing that drywall down in Salinas, and Mike Judge came up after a couple takes, and he goes, you've been saying doing twice every time. And I go, oh yeah, because, like, he's the guy who would say that doing it, and in the script it said doing twice. I was like, well, it's right here, and he goes, what? He goes, please look at the script. He goes, oh, that's a typo. So just say do it once. But yeah, then he was very nice and hired me a bunch of times. I've hung out with him socially. He's an extremely nice guy, really down to earth. I love his new show. I think it's very funny and very distinctive, and it's really cool. You know, my wife and I really like it. It's I think a laugh out loud type comedy, and I don't know. I'm a big fan. I mean, when I walked on the set of Ron's apartment, and it was so generic, like to be the Oakwood Apartments in Los Angeles. It's like, or maybe that's more of a corporate chain than I know, but it's like as anonymous as it can possibly get. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. then when I'm going rattling on and on, but then when I couldn't make the screening of the movie because I was shooting the Drew Carey show that night, and they did it on Tuesday night for some reason, and so I couldn't make it, and so I went opening weekend with my wife, and there was literally no one in the theater, and it was one of the lowest points in my career, sitting there and realizing that this movie that I loved was a bomb. And I didn't see the movie for 10 years because that moment was so, because I thought, I don't know what I'm doing in Hollywood because this is the only movie I've ever done that I like, and nobody likes it. And I thought, what am I doing here? I should go do something else. Seriously. I had that moment. I was like, well, I'm obligated to do the Drew Carey show now. And I did enjoy doing it, but I was like, I'm leaving Hollywood. Because I don't get it. I just don't get people's taste, obviously. And then it started building, and I remember my wife and I were driving downtown, and these two guys in tats and a really cool pickup truck pulled up next to us, and they like nudged each other or whatever, and they're like, this is like 3 years after the movie. They're like, hey, what'd you do with $1 million? And I was like, what? And they go, what'd you do with $1 million? 2 chicks at the same time, man. And they were like, yo, all right. And then it just started taking up its own steam. And then, but I didn't see it. It was on Comedy Central almost constantly. I never watched it. And, or on cable or whatever. It paid for the roof of my house. It was great residuals on that thing. But then they did a 10th anniversary screening in Austin where we shot it. And, sold out in like 4 minutes or something. It was like going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Everybody knew every line, and there was just waves of laughter crashing into the screen and bouncing back. And I was like, I felt like standing up and going, I told you so! I told you the fucker was funny! So that was the second time I saw it. Anyway, that's a long story. I had a lot of coffee.
You're in the corner.
Out of all of the roles that you've done, I'm Anthony from IamThink.com.
Okay.
Out of all the roles that you've done, what has been your favorite role, and what do you think? All right, what do you think has been your
That's
best
full
role?
stop, no pause. Batman was the best part ever. I was happiest doing Batman. I loved Batman. It was fascinating getting the process because I didn't really know Batman that well when I got him, and I had this great acting teacher named Yuri Beloff at the North Carolina School of the Arts. He was really my mentor, and he talked about crossing over when you start thinking as the character and not as yourself. And it's a beautiful moment when that actually happens. You should never force it. You should try to think like he does, but then it just comes up. And Oswald was like that. He was like putting on a dumb, sweet coat. He was just a lovely guy, and it would just wash over me like this sweet boy. And I realized I crossed over with Batman when we did the episode where he confronts his the killer of his parents in the hospital room. And it's a voiceover session, as you saw with Rob and Mo. It's like these guys are hilarious, and they're always improvising, and if there's a pause in the time when the director has to talk to the executive producer, blah, 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 they're on the other side of the glass. So you got these guys who are just like wind-up toys for comedy and voices, and they trying to make each other laugh, and it's really fun to have, the whole people doing this, and that's lovely. And evidently everybody's doing British accents. But during the session, so we're doing it, and the scene when he confronts the killer, I'm crying. I'm literally like tears pouring down my face because this meant so much to little Bruce that he's able to confront. I'm going to talk about a backstory. It's the greatest backstory that you could possibly ask for. It's just the greatest. And I loved being able to set the tone of a recording session and having it be professional but fun and relaxed and easy. And there were a couple of people who called me like the Perry Como of the voiceover artist because I was like, I sit, got my hat, got a little coffee, I'm very relaxed, where lots of guys are, you know, up and very high energy. But yeah, I mean, Batman was probably it was definitely my favorite part.
Behind you.
Oh, sorry.
Nick Gansel with GeekVision.tv.
Yeah.
You are a great comedic talent who has appeared in both Meet the Spartans and Vampire Suck, which
Yes.
leads me to wonder, what sort of blackmail do Freeberg and Seltzer have?
I'll just say they're tender lovers. And yeah, they're the type of guy, when you're in the tub, they'll sit on this part with the spigot right in their back, and I appreciate that. No, they're super nice. They run probably the most fun set that you can ask for, and they're just really, really nice guys. I mean, I have been asked a number of times why I've done so many of them. There's a lot of my agent asked me that a lot, but they're just really fun. They're really genuinely nice guys, and you know, there's a part of me that's still 12 years old and loves because I keep saying, this is the last time, I'm not going to do it, and then I read the script and I'm like. And they get me, you know, and I don't know. We do one take as is, and then I get to do what I want. I don't know if you saw Vampire Suck, but there's a scene where he sits with his daughter and has a thing where he talks about the guy and the jeans and everything, and that was completely made up on the spot, and you can almost hear Jason and Aaron laughing off screen, and then. That was just like the throwaway, the fucking take, and they ended up being in the movie, and also that blow-up doll that I'm looking over and I'm doing the voice, and I go, I love you. She really does. I just did it to make the crew laugh, and they left it in the movie. I mean, it's really, really creepy when you see it, because my eye is like looking over her shoulder when I do it. It looks real weird. It looks twice as weird as I thought it would, and it's already pretty weird. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely.
Way in the back.
Director of VW Media Spotlight. I was wondering if I know you would voice the video game, but I wondered if you would play the game or if you've read any of the tiny comics that are produced for Brave and Bold.
This will probably get me killed later today, but I don't play video games. I don't. Yeah, I know it's intense. My son is just like he's shocked, and I have friends that will like play it and go, come on, play it. And I'm like, I don't even know how to roll. I don't know. I have watched my son do it, and so that was kind of fun to watch. Yeah, it looks good, and it was fun doing it, and my son seems to really enjoy it. And it's cool. It was cool to do Batman again and to have everybody in and do all of that, and the plot was pretty good. But boy, is doing a video game a lot of work. It's because you have like this splintering of reality where you have to play a scene with all of the different ways they could possibly go, and as a kind of intellectual and acting exercise, it's interesting for, let's say, the first 45 minutes, and then you're like, oh, gee, I'm still here, because we do Batman as a radio play, so it's like you're done after a pretty short period of time. But a video game is like endless, because it could go this way or it could go that way, and then he'll feel this way or that way, and then blah, blah, blah. Does that answer your question?
Well, I also want to know about the tie-in comics that DC put out for the show.
Oh, yeah, the tie-in comics is super cool. Well, we had nothing to do with James Tucker drew the first cover of the first one, and he gave me one of those and signed it. And for my son, who's like a total comic book, like he was like, oh, He also got the first action figure, and he loves these cons. He's totally into it. He went as like Moon Knight one year and Ra's al Ghul and a bunch of, he reads the encyclopedias of Marvel and DC, and he just loves this whole world. It's one of the reasons I like to stay in it, so something to talk about with him.
This will be the last one right here in front.
Gareth of GarethMod.com. What was it like to work with Maxwell Adams on the Doom Adventures, Billy and Mandy?
Maxwell Adams. Wait a second, I'm spacing out. Who's that?
Yeah, you're creating Billy and Mandy.
Oh, right. Sorry. Oh, you know, really great. He's a sweet, lovely guy. And Richard is great, and Gray Delisle, and I mean, you know, that was a fun show. He had seen The Searcher, I think, and so wanted me to do something similar to that, and I think it was remarkably similar to that. I don't think I worked very hard on it, but yeah. You know, the great thing about the world of animation is, in the main, I would say like 99%, it's not an exact percentage, but of the people that you meet are really super nice. In stark contrast to the on-camera world, where most people are pretty awful. And, you know, it's talent-based. I mean, you see Rob and Mo up here, and they're just so talented. It's remarkable to be in a room with a bunch of voiceover artists, because they just blow you away that they can do this. And a lot of times, people that are on camera are not that good. And you wonder why, how did that happen? You know? And it just, it's confounding. I think that's the number one thing that I hear from other on-camera actors that do voiceovers, is that they get in and they go, oh my God, these people, it's like they can play all these different characters and do whatever. I'm like, yeah, they're talented. Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Sure, my pleasure.
And we want to get more interest in the I'm Batman